Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my breakdown of UFC Fight Night Hernandez versus RoboCop Obama Rodrigues. And let's get right into it. This is a decent card. It feels like an Apex card, but it's actually in Sacramento. Let's get right into it, starting with the first fight of the night. Shanella Dyer versus Alice Reed. Listen, I'm not going to use a lot of logic for this pick. What I will say is we will examine these two female physiques, and together we will come to a conclusion that Shanella Dyer will win. I think she's much more athletic. She's better. She has the better record. That doesn't mean much, but 7-1 versus 8-5 is a big difference, especially because this one loss came at the hands of Carol Foho. You might recognize her from, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. She went to war with something Canuto, Gigi Canuto. They had a great fight. And this Carol Foho girl has knocked out a lot of her opponents, and she did drop Shanella Dyer like 3 times on the Contender Series, but Shanella Dyer stuck in there, made it to the end at least. Somehow they gave her, I think, one of the rounds, which in my opinion was bullshit, but regardless, she's pretty good. And then she won her UFC debut fight by knockout over Rhaenyra Oliveira, or whatever that girl's name is, the one who has lost to everyone. She lost to Shanella Dyer. So it's not like a great win, but I think potential-wise, Shanella Dyer is doing pretty well. And so she should beat Elise Reese by knockout. I'm going to go with a round 2 knockout. Round 1 might be a little close, and then she'll build into it. She does have a lot of power for a female, and so I tend to pick those. Let's move on to Wes Schultz versus Jackson Mcvey. Round of applause to the matchmakers. Honestly, this is world-class matchmaking. I love this. It's like two angels fighting. This is Gabriel versus Michael over here. I heard the winner gets to stay in heaven. I love this. This is great. Basically, it's like we acknowledge that both of you guys are kind of shit. Fight each other, and we shall see which one comes victorious, and they might just be able to stay in the UFC. That's kind of how this is. It's interesting. You guys can't see the height, but I can. My face is probably blocking it for you. Jackson Mcvey is 6'4", and Wes Schultz is 6'2". First of all, Wes Schultz just gives off like 5'9" vibes. I don't know how the hell he's 6'2", but I think he is. It's at middleweight. He doesn't look like a middleweight. I'm gonna be going with Jackson Mcvey. I'm not too confident in this pick. I don't think he's like a massive. Yeah, he's only a -180 favorite. But the thing is with Jackson Mcvey is I think he's kind of underrated. He made his UFC debut against Bruno Ferreira. That was his, I forgot which Brazilian last name he had. I was going to say Silva, but it's Ferreira, whichever one you want to say. Jackson Mcvey made his debut against him, ended up getting submitted. He then got submitted by Zachary Reese as well. But if you watch that fight, he was piecing up Zachary Reese on the feet. And I think that's very impressive. Zachary Reese is a very good striker. Not very good. He just got flatlined. And before that, he lost to Michel Pereira, which is a terrible loss. But he's a decent enough striker that if Jackson Mcvey is piecing him up in the clinch, that's pretty impressive. And then since then, we saw that he did work on his grappling. In fact, his last fight, he got a submission win over Cedric Dumas, and he did beat him up on the feet as well. Now, we're not going to really rate a Cedric Dumas win all that highly, but Wes Schultz, what has he done? He won on Contender Series with a Suluev stretch. I think that was him, which is pretty impressive, although he was kind of losing until that point. Then he got flatlined by Damian Pinas, which again, like these guys, they are the cans. This is Clash of the Clans. Clash of the Cans. Clash of Cans. That's if somebody makes a game about that, they have to give me credit. Clash of Cans. But yes, and then after that, he won against that Australian guy who was supposed to be like, oh, he's coming out of retirement or something like that. And he was supposed to win. In fact, he dropped Wes Schultz multiple times. But Wes Schultz fucking cockroached his way to a victory. I think he ended up getting him in a guillotine. Now, I do not think he will guillotine Jackson Mcvey. I use this logic with Neil Magny, and I shall use it again. He's 6'4", bro. You're not guillotining him. So, the real question is, can Wes Schultz get it to the ground? I'm not a big fan of his offensive wrestling. He did take down that last guy that I don't remember his name. But that guy was like a kickboxer, and he was like out of the game for like 5 years or whatever. So I don't think that is the same thing. And Jackson Mcvey, on the feet, will piece up Wes Schultz and knock him out. That's just how I see it going. He could get out grappled. But I don't see it being that way. And I think Wes Schultz is a little bit more of a quitter. Like, on the feet, Wes Schultz looks like a victim. So I'm picking Jackson Mcvey by round 2 knockout. We're picking the round 2 knockouts, boys. Yeah, round 1 might be a little rough. Maybe he gets taken down once or twice. But I can see him landing a knee up the middle and knocking Wes Schultz the fuck out. Let's move on to Gay Jung versus Stan Dorsainvil. I definitely know who this guy is. If you show me like 5 pictures, I'd definitely be able to tell you what Stan Dorsainvil looks like. You know, I'm kind of bummed out because Gage Young, he was supposed to fight Cody Steele, which would have been a much better fight and would actually be much more of a coin flip. And then Cody Steele pulled out. And then they were talking, or at least this other fighter who I'm about to mention was talking about fighting him. Eli Barzilai. He's an Israeli prospect, one of the only ones we got. And he was supposed to fight Gage Young, but he was fighting for it at least. He wanted to fight Gage Young, but ultimately they just didn't go with him. They went with Stan Dorsainvil. Was it very necessary? I don't know. He's like 5-0, which is and he's barely an underdog. So something tells me maybe I should have done some research about this, you know, but I didn't because I don't care to do it. And I think Gage Young is pretty good. He just beat the great Thiago Moises. I mean, who does that? Who beats Thiago Moises? You know, he gave Islam Makhachev a run for his money. You know, that's the Thiago Moises we're talking about, not this new version of Thiago Moises. That's absolute dog shit. The guy who convinced us that Ludovic Klein is a prospect. That's the same Thiago Moises. But regardless of hating on Thiago Moises, I will be picking Gage Young. I always value the UFC experience more than I think Stan comes from CFFC, which they're pretty good, but it's not the same thing. So I'm picking Gage Young. By decision. I'm gonna pick him by decision. It's gonna be one of those close ones. The guy takes it on short notice. He ends up giving Gage Young a run for his money, and everyone's like, "Well, he's pretty good. I want to see what he does next in the sport." Let's move on. 2. Marcio Barbosa versus Ryan Kuse. Marcio Barbosa is gonna flatline this guy. Like there's nothing much to say about this. Yeah, he's a -1,000 favorite. I'm gonna keep on scrolling until you see those odds. He is. You know, you don't want to call him the Brazilian Ilia Topuria because we're going to get to him in a minute. I love that there's 2 of them on this card. Also, he has a totally different frame. I would call him the Brazilian Alex Pereira. You know, Alex Pereira is the Brazilian Alex Pereira, but he has a lot of fucking power. That's the point that I'm trying to get to here. He has flatlined everyone. It says here 17 wins. On Topology, it said 18 wins, so one of them didn't count for some reason. But I think only one of his fights went to decision, and the rest are he has 15 knockouts and 2 submissions on his record. He's a monster. He's freakishly powerful. Is he only 5'6"? Nah, that's just not true. That's a lie. I mean, look at his frame. At featherweight, he's now 5'6". That's just incorrect. His last fight and his only fight in the UFC, he flatlined Dennis Pazuka. Like right away, stepped in with a great hook, he rolled through into the hook and put him out cold, he was on the canvas twitching for 2 minutes. He's gonna flatline this guy unless Ryan Kuse ends up being the next big thing. But based off the odds, I don't think they think so, and I never actually watched any of his fights because there's no need to. Why would I waste my time watching the guy who's gonna get flatlined? It's not necessary, even though his record's decent, 9-2. I don't care. Mauricio Barbosa by flatline round 1 KO. Let's move on to Chris Padilla versus Nasrat Haqparast. Is Padilla an underdog? Well, not really. Whatever. It's even odds. I'm picking Chris Padilla. I don't care. I thought he would be a favorite. I thought that was a pretty clear pick over here. We got mini Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum on a diet. If Kelvin Gastelum didn't spend fight week fucking munching on food and literally having a channel called Missing Weight with Kelvin Gastelum, and then he ends up actually missing weight. If he didn't do all that, this is what he would look like. I'm pretty sure they're actually the same height and the same build, and one of them's at 155 and one of them's at 185. So I'll tell you which one's taking their career seriously. But yeah, Nasrat Haqparast coming back from his parents' bakery after getting fucking flatlined by that head kick. It's crazy because since getting knocked out by Quillan Sal Killed went on to fight Jamie Malarkey. Then he fought Dariush, and then he just fought Gamrot. And Nasrat Haqparast is only coming back now. And I feel like Quillan Sal Killed, none of his opponents have come back yet. He's just flatlining people, and then they never fought again. Anshul Jubli, where you been, bro? We're waiting for more memes, you know? But anyway, let's talk about this fight. Chris Padilla, I think he's really fucking good. And he's undefeated in the UFC, and he has a draw. That's this one over here. This draw in the UFC. That's his last fight against Marco Mederos, who's also on this card. But I don't... And now I'm thinking about it. Marco Mederos is higher up on this card for no reason. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a robbery, and Padilla should have just won that straight outright because basically there was a 10-8 round because he got eye-poked pretty badly, so they took a point from Mederos. And then the judges gave him, 2 of the judges gave Mederos 2 of the rounds. And I thought that was bullshit, especially because they disagreed on which round. That's a clear sign of a robbery when the judges don't even know which round to give the other guy. I thought Padilla won very clearly. He has very crisp Muay Thai. Towards the end of that round, he started getting cut open with elbows. But elbows are not a part of Haqparast's game. And Padilla has very good pressure. And when Haqparast does well, when he goes forward. You know, he throws nice combos. He will try to mix in the grappling, but for the most part, he is a striker. He's coming off of like 2 robbery wins. I mean, he's coming off of a flatline knockout, but before that, he's coming off of 2 robbery wins. The first one was against Ribovich. Well, we're going in like backwards order. So the most recent one was against Ribovich. It was a close fight. I could see you giving it to him, but it was a very close fight. It was a split decision. And before that, he straight up robbed Jared Gordon. And that's like, I understand that Paddy Pimblett, you know, Paddy Pimblett saying join the club, but it's a bad look regardless, especially because I don't think Jared Gordon has won since then. And in fact, Jared Gordon went on to lose to Jim Miller, you know. So, and I rate Jim Miller. I think he's like one of the only old guys who's like still keeping it up. That trusty guillotine is still with him. But Nasrat Haqparast, I don't rate him at all. I think he's good. I think he has power, but I think Padilla has a nice tight guard. They both have a pretty tight guard, but I can see this taking place in close range, and Padilla is just going to be better, and I don't think Haqparast will be able to pull out those elbows and really create enough damage to win a decision. And you know, I can see this going to decision, a close decision. If Nasrat Haqparast gets another robbery win, a third one in a row, you know, like if he has a fucking title run based off robberies, it's really going to piss me off. I'm going to have to rewatch that head kick KO over and over again. So don't do that to me. Don't make me do that. Also, Padilla's not 5'9". It says here it's 5'9" versus 5'10". Padilla's like 5'8" at best. He's this is just objectively true. He's pretty small for 155, and somehow he missed weight in his last fight, and I don't know how, because I would almost tell him to move down to 145. He's really not that big. But yeah, I think he's gonna win by decision. Let's move on to Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Shamil Gaziev. I'm going with an underdog pick here. I don't get to pick a lot of underdogs because the odds have been right recently, except for that Neil Magny one. Don't think I forgot about that. But we're going with the underdog. In Kennedy Nzechukwu, look, Shamil Gaziev, Shamil the Blob Gaziev, you know, despite all the memes, he's actually like okay. He's not even that bad. His 3 losses are to Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Brando Pericic, and Wilder Cortez Acosta, which like those are not bad losses, but he doesn't have like great wins either. You know, he doesn't really beat anybody good. He just basically beats people who are like not nowhere near the rankings, and I would say he's like a good gatekeeper of the rankings at heavyweight, which is like a decent thing. He has like a weirdly quick straight cross. I don't know if he's a southpaw or not, but whichever one is his cross, I think it's a right. He has a very slick one, and he's gotten a couple knockouts with those. And he will try to blob you too a little bit, although not recently. He hasn't really been getting takedowns recently. But I think Nzechukwu will be much slicker. Is he the one who got super fucking fat? Or is that Ryan, I don't know the guy's last name, but Ryan, the other black guy who looks exactly like him. I'm sorry. One of them gained a lot of weight. I think it was Ryan. Span. We got there. I think it was Ryan Span. Kennedy Nzechukwu moved up to heavyweight. I think he's one of the ones that didn't bulk up too much. He got like a little belly, but that's about it. I don't know why they do that. Some of them, like we'll get on to soon, they just like gain 30 pounds of muscle very suspiciously, and their whole facial structure changes, including Ryan Span. His whole facial structure changed, but he just got fat. Anyway, I think Nzechukwu is going to be very slick. I know he hasn't had like the greatest run at heavyweight, but he ran into Walter Walker. You know, and Walter Walker took his leg, but that's just what happens. That's part of the script. He'll take your leg. You think he wouldn't do that to Gaziev? Hold on, I really want to see that fight now. I want to see Walter Walker versus Gaziev. God damn it. But yeah, I think Nzechukwu is going to be much slicker, and I think he's going to knock out Shamil Gaziev. I think, well, for starters, he has a crazy reach advantage on him, 5-inch reach advantage, even though he's only an inch taller. But these type of people, they usually tend to have a shorter reach. But yeah, I think we're looking at like a round 2 knockout. I keep on picking these round 2 knockouts, but it's going to happen. I'm telling you, he's going to piece him apart in round 1. But Shamil Gaziev has an underrated chin. He went to war with Brando Pericic, but eventually took enough damage to go down. And it hasn't even been that long since then. That was the Australia card, you know? So that's like a couple months ago at best, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. And he's already back after a lot of damage. I think Nzechukwu is going to be able to put him away in round 2 after beating him up. Let's move on to Jamall Emmers versus Larryan Douglas. Now, this is the Brazilian Ilia Topuria. You can tell he has the look. I just rewatched him versus, what's his name? Do I not have Topology pulled up on my phone? Okay, enough, Dean Thomas. You guys saw what happened with Dean Thomas? What the fuck? What kind of a coach is that? But yeah, we're going to look up who he just beat. Topology. Yep. Yeah, don't take your time to load right now. I want to find out who Larryan Douglas beat. As I'm buying time for this, yeah, Larryan Douglas, he's a fucking freak of nature and scary as shit. And he beat... Come on, man. I can't buy that much more time. Yeah, he beat... Julian Rosa, of course. Yeah, I knew that. I just rewatched that, so it's bad I don't remember that name, but some names just slip me. Julian Rosa, And this was Julian Erosa coming off of a win. And Julian Erosa is like, hovering over the number 20 spot at featherweight. And Larryan Douglas knocked the fuck out of him. And before that, he dropped him like 3 different times with a jab. And man, you gotta listen to the commentary on this, because it felt like in the movie when they reveal like the big villain, like Thanos comes out or whatever, and they're just like, oh, like it was scary. It wasn't even like cool. It was like aura and like, holy shit, this is petrifying. He's just dropping this guy with a jab. It wasn't even like, I'm not gonna remember this guy's name now, so it's over, but I said his name. It wasn't even like he was rushing into the jab. He was just standing in place, and Larryan Douglas would hit him with a stiff jab, and he wouldn't even just get dropped. He would go flying like 2 feet backwards into the cage. Yeah. He's going to win. He's going to knock out Jamall Emmers. I'm sorry. I know Jamall Emmers is like decent. He's not bad. He's on a little streak. I think he's on a 2-fight win streak. But I think it's time to say Hydra Mill. He might not be that good, guys. He might not be that good. And Jamall Emmers still did go to decision with him, and that was Hydra Mill with like a stomach disease where his like stomach was literally eating him alive, and that's why he gassed out in that fight. So yeah, I think we're looking. I'm surprised that the odds aren't even crazier. He's only a minus 390 favorite. I would say bump it up. If Marcio Barbosa, or whatever that guy's name is, if he's so big of a favorite, how the hell is Larryan Douglas not? I feel like they're the same type of guy. Yeah, I think he's gonna fucking flatline him, and I'm so excited for this. Like this is not like a popular fight night. No one's talking about this, but this is gonna be a lot of fucking scraps. Let's move on to the main card. See, that's all in the prelims. That's crazy. I'm actually excited. I'm pumped. Anthony Wint versus Terrance Chatman. I don't know who Terrance Chatman is, but I know who Anthony Wint is. He just fought on Contender Series last week. So a week and a half before this fight will be taking place. So he's fresh. He's jacked for heavyweight. They don't make many of those. He has abs as a heavyweight. He only weighs 235, which is not a lot, but he doesn't need all that. He like destroyed his opponent in the Contender Series fight. I think it was like a 27-second knockout, something like that. Just ran through him, and he's like, put me on the next card. I'm down. Like, he's super motivated too, and I think he's gonna fuck. Oh, is he only 5'11"? All right, whatever. We're not gonna pay attention to that unless it comes up. But yeah, I think he's gonna run through a good amount of guys until he gets to the upper level of heavyweight. And they're putting him against somebody who isn't in the UFC either. So, like, it's not even like he's going against somebody who's proven. They're putting him against somebody who's 5-1. And Anthony went to 7-0. I think he's going to fucking flatline this guy in round 1. So that's that. Not a lot to break down, but super exciting. Like, guys, look out for this guy. He's a prospect at heavyweight coming up. Just had an incredible performance. He literally just, like, the guy who he went against tried to take him down. Anthony Wint just kind of, like, shrugged him off, got on top, and from turtle position, just threw like 3 or 4 punches, and the guy got like basically flatlined from turtle position. Super powerful guy. Anyway, and he plays football, in case you're curious. That's just a thing. Carli Judice versus Jeisla? Jeisla Chaves. Let's do that again. Carli Judice versus Jeisla Chaves. Sorry. We're not gonna get it. This is like, I know I'm very big on like, look at the records. These records do not tell you anything about the fight. Carli Judice is really fucking good. She, like, we had Fatima Klein. I think she is the second coming of Fatima Klein. They're in a different weight class, and Fatima Klein is more well-rounded. But on the feet, Judice, I think right now, and I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm not exaggerating, she might be the best female striker in the UFC right now, straight up. She's really fucking good. I was watching tape for this fight. I don't even, that's how you know this means a lot to me. This means something to me, goddammit. I was watching tape for this fight, and it was actually fun to watch tape for a women's fight, because Carli Judice, it was like watching Carlos Prates highlight. Now, look, she doesn't have power, but the thing is, out of these 6 wins, 5 of them come by knockout, and she's a pillow puncher, which tells you how good she is. She's so good that even though she doesn't have a lot of power, she's still knocking people out, and she's knocking people out in the later rounds, in the earlier rounds. Last fight, she went to a decision, but that was against Juliana Miller, the great Juliana Miller, and she still put a beating on her. When she's flowing out there, oh my God. Like this, I like joke, and I'm like, oh, like this woman knows how to throw a jab and a cross, so I'm picking her. She knows how to throw everything, bro. She's switching stances, throwing 5-punch combos, throwing a knee in there. She has a knee to the body knockout. She has a head kick knockout. She's really good. She's really fucking good. And Jeisla Chaves, I don't think she has a way to win this. The only way she can win is by getting a takedown. She's not going to knock her out. She can try to wrestle her, but I don't think she'll be able to do that for 3 rounds without gassing out. And again, on the feet, it's such a big difference in level. Like, I've never been more confident picking against somebody who's undefeated. But I don't understand how Carli Judice lost her, like, 2 of her fights, which they were close decisions, but still, I don't even know how she was beaten. I could have watched the fights and see, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to just say she got much fucking better because she's so good, guys. I don't mean to glaze, but she's actually really good. I'm actually excited for her, even though she's a female fighter, you know? This is going to be domination. Do not miss this one. I know you're seeing 2 females like, I'm going to go take a shit break. No, watch this fight. I'm telling you. I'm warning you. Yeah, she's a big favorite for a reason. She's really fucking good. I'm picking her by knockout. Round 2. You know what we're doing today. All right. Marco Mederos versus Mason Jones. This will be fight of the night. I guarantee it. We spoke about Marco Mederos earlier and how I thought he lost to Taco Padilla. And because of that, I'm picking Mason Jones. Also, I just think Mason Jones is really fucking good. He's been on a streak. He was in the UFC. He had like a couple wins, a couple losses, and they didn't even cut him. He told them, I want to go back to Cage Warriors, get some experience. He went back, won like 4 more times, and then came back to the UFC and is on a 3-fight win streak. So in total, if you're keeping track, that's a 7-fight win streak for Mason Jones. He's really, really good. And, he has a bad tendency of getting dropped early, but I don't think Mederos will be able to drop him early. In the last fight, Mason Jones didn't get dropped early. He beat Axel Sola, who then went on to beat Ismail Bonfim, the shittier of the two. And yeah, Mason Jones is really good. He beat up Axel Sola, who had the big frame advantage on him. And now he's fighting somebody who's more so his height. And I think Mason Jones is going to put a fucking beating on him. But Mederos is pretty tough, so I don't think he's going to put him away. I think this is going to be a fucking war. And when you're going to war, Mason Jones will win that war. And honestly, I don't know what they're waiting for. Give him a ranked opponent. This is 155. There's some people that we can feed to him, you know? He's really good, always puts on a scrap. They should put him on pay-per-views. Like, they keep on putting him in the Apex or whatever for, like, no reason. Yeah, I'm actually super excited for this. I told you, this card is sneakily good, guys. I'm warning you. Be prepared for an entertaining card. This could be an absolute scrap. I just think, like, Mederos is pretty good. He's not bad. I just think Mason Jones is much better and has a lot more experience in tough fights. So I'm picking him by decision. Let's move on to Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze. This is cheating. I don't like what they're doing here because Hernandez is like, I've had enough of middleweight. I'm going up to light heavyweight. And you'd expect when somebody says that, they'll fight a light heavyweight. But no, he found a cheat code. He's fighting a middleweight at light heavyweight. So what the fuck was the point of that? What are we doing? And then we have to give him Roman Dolidze. I don't like when people go up a weight class and fight way down in the rankings because then when he wins, they're like, oh, he's looking great at light heavyweight. No, he's looking great against Roman Dolidze. And Roman Dolidze has no way to win this fight. What are the odds? He should be a bigger favorite, Hernandez. I understand that he's coming off of 2-fight losing streak. But Dolidze, this is a 3-rounder, and Dolidze can't win this fight. Like, realistically, his only way to win fights in general is with grappling, and he's not taking on Hernandez, and he won't be able to out-grapple Hernandez. Hernandez is a very good grappler, and on the feet, he's just much better than Roman Dolidze. I understand he just got, he got, like, kind of dominated by Caio Borralho. But even then, Caio Borralho is really fucking good. He's like a top 5 at middleweight. Roman Dolidze is nowhere near top 5 at middleweight. So again, big jump backwards in competition, and also up a weight class, but fighting middleweight. That doesn't make any sense. I want to see how his frame does against a light heavyweight frame. We are not going to learn anything from this fight. It's a waste of a fight. Doesn't mean anything. But I have to pick Hernandez. No, you can't pick him by knockout because Roman Dolidze has never fucking been knocked out. So you have to pick him by decision. That's another reason this fight sucks. There's nothing. He's just gonna pitter-pat, he's gonna pitter-pat him at range and throw his knees and jabs and then just like hold him for a little bit and punch him to the ribs a little bit and then they're gonna separate and then Roman Dolidze is gonna come in with like the weirdest combo you've ever seen and then the Ritter is just gonna like, shell up and walk away and then hold him. This is gonna be a boring fight, I'm realizing. What we really need to see is Dolidze versus what's his name? Vettori 3. We need to see Dolidze versus Vettori 3. That will feed families, put that in the Apex as a main event, and this is just unnecessary. Let's move on to Sergey Spivac versus Vitor Petrino. I'm picking another underdog. I was going to pick Petrino up until I used some logic for a second. I'm picking Spivac by decision, by crafty Spivac decision, guys. The more I think about it, the less ways I see Vitor Petrino to win this fight. I know he's jacked. I know he's very big for heavyweight. I know he gained 30 pounds of muscle when he moved up to heavyweight somehow, and his whole facial structure changed. But he hasn't been looking that good at heavyweight. He looks like a monster, but if you look at his wins, he has a submission over that guy who everybody knocks the fuck out. Big Bilal, as they call him. I don't remember his name. And then after that, he knocked out Thomas Peterson in the third round. And the first two were kind of competitive, and he was kind of losing, which is just not a good look. Spivac would brutalize Thomas Peterson, even though I think Thomas Peterson's like kind of underrated still. And then after that, Petrino almost lost to what's his name? The guy who just fought, the guy with the tits, the guy who lost a whole bunch of weight. You guys know what I'm talking about? Fuck, what's that guy's name? Here, we're about to pull it up. Steven Asplund. He almost got Asplunded, you know? He got rocked badly, and if Asplund didn't take that opportunity to pull down his pants and show his beard butt to the fucking crowd, and instead of that, if he just knocked out Vitor Petrino, he would have knocked out Vitor Petrino. That was like a Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards kind of moment, but it was more competitive up until that point. It was not a schooling by Petrino. Petrino actually needed to grapple, and that's the thing. I don't think he's that good of a striker. I don't think he's that powerful at heavyweight. And I think Spivac is going to be fundamentally sound. He's going to be very tough to take down. I think he's going to be much bigger. Even though it says they're the same weight here, I think his frame naturally fits heavyweight more. And on the feet, I think he's better. I think his boxing is underrated. He just beat Ante Delija, and I did not see that coming. But yeah, he beat him on the feet with boxing, and Ante Delija has pretty good boxing for a heavyweight. So I think Spivac is going to fraud check him. And it's kind of even a big jump up in competition. I don't know what Spivac is ranked, but going from Asplund to Spivac, and we have to say Asplund's not that good. It's one thing if Asplund looked great in his next fight, but that fight against Guilherme Pat, I didn't like how competitive that was for Asplund. I thought he would do better than that. So I don't think that highly of him, and he still almost knocked out Petrino. So I think Spivac is winning this one by crafty decision or later rounds TKO. But I'll say by a crafty Spivac decision, 29-28. Maybe Petrino comes out early with heat. Spivac gets rocked a little bit. He calms down, and he can make this boring too. He can hold him against the cage, use his fucking stomach, smudge it on him a little bit. All right, I've said enough. The main event, we're here. Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodrigues. This fight is going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be a Gregory Rodrigues round 1 flatline KO or an Anthony Hernandez later rounds submission or TKO because Gregory Rodrigues is going to fucking gas out. Now, which one's going to happen? Man, Hernandez is a favorite. I wanted to pick him anyway, but I was hoping he wouldn't be a favorite because I want to pick another underdog. God damn it. I'm picking Hernandez to win because I don't think he can get flatlined. He's Mexican. I know that he's one of the rare people to get knocked out by Sean Strickland, but that all started from the body. And I don't think Rodrigues has the fight IQ to start all of a sudden adding knees to the body to his weapons, or teeps to the body. That's not how he's built. He's built to throw overhands until something lands. And it's been working for him. But when it doesn't work for him, like against Jared Cannonier, he quits. And I think Hernandez will be able to keep it at a close range and with a high and tight guard where he won't be getting hit too cleanly, and he can push a pace on Rodrigues, and he can shoot takedowns. Even if he doesn't get it, he can tire him out, and eventually he's going to start getting those takedowns, and once he does, Rodrigues is going to quit, and this is a 5-rounder, But again, round 1 is scary. It is scary, because Rodrigues can flatline anyone. I just don't see, I can't picture Hernandez getting flatlined by a punch. And also, and I kind of put weight onto this, he has been training at Extreme Couture with Sean Strickland. If anybody can teach you defense, it will be Sean Strickland. And I like that that idea of like he just lost to Sean Strickland. Instead of saying fuck you, he's like, I'm going to go train with you, and I'm going to try to learn your tricks, and I'm going to try to learn my weaknesses. Because think of it, the Strickland camp just game planned how to beat Hernandez. So who better to ask, how do I get better, than the people who just trained to beat you, So I think we are looking at a Hernandez later rounds TKO or submission, but honestly, I see it more as a TKO. Rodrigues, after round 2, he's just not going to be the same. I can see him dropping Hernandez early. I can see that. I just don't see him finishing Hernandez, and if he doesn't finish Hernandez, he's going to gas out later. It's just how he's built. He can't go 5 rounds. That's not what his body's made for. So that's my picks for this card. I think it was a quicker video. I don't really know. We'll see when I upload it. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, please like also. I'm going to say that again because people have not been liking it. And yeah, I'd come back for the reaction. I'm going to be doing a later reaction. I'm not going to do it like right after the fights because I'm kind of busy on Saturday. But I might do it either Saturday at like 5 a.m. or I'm going to do it Sunday morning. But regardless, come and watch it. It's not getting any views, those reaction ones. But I'm doing it anyway for the love of the game. That's what I'm here for, the love of the game. I hope you enjoyed, and see ya.